Hello, all. Thank you so much for joining our talk with Mr. Rajat. We're equally excited to hear a lot from him. I think I'm sure this one hour duration isn't enough, but let us try to just compress our interaction with Mr. Rajat. Rajat, thank you so much for joining. And first of all,
Absolutely pleasure. Sure.
our team totally appreciate that you just approved our request as soon as we asked for. So it's a really great gesture, and thank you so much for just joining Startup Grind and letting our community, to giving them a chance to know more about you. So yes, guys, Rajat, we are Startup Grind, and we are across various different countries, and we are helping entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, startups, and everyone to learn, collaborate, and network with each other. And we are in Hyderabad from the last 5 years. We started off in 2015. Our chapter started from there. So we have Kashyap and Yashwant,
Mhm.
Kashyap, Yashwant, and me. We three are the team. So we're all directors there, and we just volunteer totally for this community to help
Awesome.
entrepreneurs to connect with each other. So we thought, okay, why not? Let's bring someone who just is into the gaming industry, because we ourselves wanted to know about, okay, what exactly is happening in Hyderabad in regards with
Right.
gaming industry and all. So
Right.
we are very excited to know more from you. So Rajat, let's start from the very basic. Like
Sure.
let's look at.
Yeah.
Tell me, how was your childhood like? So
Yeah.
how it's been? Yeah.
Okay. So I come from a tier two town, and that too in Rajasthan. So it's a place called Jodhpur. And it's a very typical place. Where people think of only two options: doctors and engineers, and which is pretty much valid even now over there. You know, talk about any other business or any other thing, they won't get, they won't understand. So yeah, so that's what. So I was born in a doctor's family. Everybody is a doctor in our family, and that's what they wanted me to be. And in fact, not just doctor, they knew that I will be the neurologist. Even the stream was pre-decided for me. But the thing is that in 1989, an Atari came to my house, fortunately, and it was 2600, and that's when my life pretty much changed because, so and again, another thing which I had was like more on tinkering. I used to buy less of toys and make my own toys. I was very interested in creating things, so I had my own GI Joe army which I built. It was not GI Joe. It was like literally I had the soldiers and stuff and tanks and everything. And so yeah. So when Atari came, I started playing games, and not just playing games, and I'm talking about 1989. Not just playing games, but at least at the same time observing what makes those games, how those pixels are, because TV was absolutely very unidirectional consumption, right? You just watch it. Whereas here I was literally controlling the pixels on the TV, and that was very very intriguing for me. And I started digging deeper, and I figured out that this is something I would be doing in my life. And that's pretty much the time when Star Wars was pretty big, and I had early access to pretty much Star Wars things, what were there before. So combining these two things, like games and a fantasy world, that's when I decided this is something I'll do. So yeah. So again, I was prepared to be the doctor. Went, exited, came out, and even I was in college, when most of the people were making the banking software and the financial software, I was making game.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a fantastic. In fact, I still feel back. It's a great city. It's a great city today for me to visit, but not to live, because it's less of
Mm-hmm.
action. But yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, you loved games, and so I just wanted to understand how the transition happened from, okay, the one who's playing games to the one who's building games. So because
Yeah.
we see a lot of children are really excited about games and they just want to do something around it.
Yeah.
So what are those initial steps that you took to, okay, let's develop this now? So where that thought started? Like what made you
The
think, okay, let's
the
develop?
thought started in 1989 itself. So when I
Mm-hmm.
was playing, so my the intriguing thing for me, probably I had that in me or whatever, I don't know. But the most important part was that I was not like I was playing to postmortem those games. I was playing to observe what's beneath, what's under the hood there. And I was literally struggling, and I was getting frustrated because I was still studying biology, pretty much like the, zoologies and all those kind of things. Of course, I was not in 1989, I was still in 10th standard, but pretty much even after that, but when I went to the college, I decided that I have to focus on things which actually, help me to make games. And of course, this is not usual, but it's again, I keep saying this to many people that not necessarily you need to think that you will be making game. There are tons of options which are there. Like if you like to eat food, doesn't mean that you will become the greatest chef possible, right? But you can be a great food tester. You can be a great food blogger. There are multiple options if that is your passion. And I was like pretty much in the same line of thing, but because I was more analytical and more this thing, and which I'm pretty sure that this current generation is big time, and they have access to everything. So what I did, I actually got a book somehow from somewhere,
Oh,
mastering video games. It was by Tommy Gretha, and
oh,
it was so it had a floppy disk in which there was some C++ code how to actually manipulate the graphics. But and that is the time when a game called Jazz Jackrabbit came, which was released by Epic, and the game was done by a single guy. And
oh.
initially, and that
Mm-hmm.
was, and I was reading those story in the PC Quest was a big, magazine, and PC World was another
Yes,
magazine
right.
back then, right? So I used to read these. PC World was the only magazine which used to cover games back then. Just a small little,
Oh,
column within the entire magazine which used to talk about games. So that's when they talked about the Epic Jazz Jackrabbit, and I got my hands on that somehow. And I figured that game was done in Pascal. And
mm-hmm.
so I whatever learning I got from my Tommy G engine, which was there in the floppy disk. It was a C++ thing. I
Right.
just mapped it to Pascal, and I created my college project, which was a game called Sea Dogs, which eventually I actually released in the market, and not in the market, but on Earnet, because the internet was still happening in India. So I released on the Education Research Network, which is the Earnet, and got 70,000 downloads of that game, which was pretty
Oh,
big. And when PC
right.
Quest in 1995 came with their first CD, with the magazine, which was a big deal, my game was
Mm-hmm.
in that also. And
All right.
so I got a lot of communication from people saying, this is it, you did it right, and stuff like that, which I actually was like, my movement that I have to actually make, and continue doing this for the rest of my life. So yeah.
Yes. Yes. So, yeah. So, what comes on your mind when you think of the kind of opportunities that you got at that age?
Hmm.
So now that you explained the kind of infrastructure and all, so
Hmm.
what is the main differentiation factor that you see now and then? So,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Today you're sitting on information, like tons
yeah.
of information. Like
Hmm.
I hunted all around India, for finding how to make a game, and I found this book in BPP catalog. I don't know if people still remember BPP publication or not.
Hmm.
It was a Delhi-based, publisher, and they used to do a lot of C, C++, and all those computer-related and stuff and all, and very big, back then. I don't even know whether they exist or not, or in whatever form today. Anil Jain, I met him again later, when I finished everything. But the thing is that, yeah. So today, kids are sitting on information. People have access to the most expensive game engines possible. I remember
Hmm.
the time when we spent $1.3 million just to get Unreal license. That too for one game, one platform, one version. Today, that
Oh.
same engine in much better form is available for free, right? Unity engine is absolutely free. So the thing is that you have information, you have tools, and you have such a big community, supporting it. And there are a lot of people who have created those around. Back in those days, like even if I wanted to talk, I had nobody to talk to, right? And especially in India, when I
Right.
moved out, another thing is a different thing. But here, no community, just one book, just one focus of making that Sea Dogs game, and it was actually a top-down Doom style game, because Doom is the reason, when it actually changed a lot of things for me. Like Jazz Jackrabbit was the inspiration because one guy did, and it was in Pascal and another thing. Doom is still the game I breathe, every single day. A big this thing, because that is when I realized the power of video games. And so I used the similar kind of top-down style in that game. So I think today people have access to me. People have access to other guys like Manish Agrawal. People have access to Rajesh Rao and all these kind of guys who are like
Right.
in the industry for a long time. People have internet, so somebody sitting in Africa is as good as somebody sitting in America is as good as sitting in
Right.
India, right? You're sitting, and then you have the tools, technologies, everything. There's no excuse now, at least, and I can say, and then there is huge funding, right? Earlier there was not enough funding, right? So in India alone, if you see, like in last 6 years, $350 million investment went into the game companies, right? So it's not as big as like what Paytm and other guys get, but at least it's a validation that it's a legit industry, and so I think so there is validation, there is information, there are tools, so you got it all.
Okay. Yeah. So, talking about this huge investment and the kind of skill set that we got, do you think are there still any gaps here in India? Like, are there any anything which is dragging us back in terms of the
Yeah.
game development?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
So my mindset is still the problem. So
Okay.
number one,
Yeah.
number
Right.
one, and not many actually still consider this as a career option, and that's one of the thing as an activist or as an advocate of this industry I do. And when you told me, like, thank you for accepting our invitation, I would say thank you for listening to a game guy.
Right.
Because not many people actually, but the thing is that we go to IITs, we go to BITS, we go to several places and convince people. So we still need to do convincing what probably Google and Oracle don't need to do, right? So, and we need to actually show a lot of numbers to them, need to talk about. So mindset is still, even like forget about the technical side of the thing, let's talk about the art. Everybody who learns animation and modeling and all, they want to make the next Bahubali, right? And they want to be part of that, or they want to make, let's say, Avengers kind of thing. But if you see, Avengers number are nowhere near to the video game industry. Video game industry is like 3 times bigger than that, right? All the entertainment industry put together is less than what video game industry size is. So we need to actually go and explain this to people, that this is how big it is. Like talk about GTA 5, right? So one of the biggest game which happened, $5.6 billion dollar, earned, whereas Avenger was clocking at around $2.9 billion, right? And after kicking Avatar from the top slot, and I'm pretty sure GTA 6 is going to be much bigger. So I think the mindset is the number one thing, where you still need to do convincing act. You need to talk to people. You need to give them a lot of data and other things. So there are, but the second thing is, again, people, in the a lot of people in this industry are after, okay, let's make quick money because lockdown happened, let's do something, or Geo came, so suddenly things are changing, let's make something and release it. Whereas the game is actually, some of the old game like Clash of Clan, right, is still around and will remain around, in this form or that form, because those are actually made like real game, not just like keep on being like sales folks who are constantly knocking your door to sell, okay, in-app purchase, here is the advertisement, overdose of everything, right? So it takes away the entire fun from the game. Like when you play Temple Run, do you get intimidated by the advertisements or constant, buy this, buy that? You don't. You still play, you still enjoy. You play Subway Surfer, you enjoy, But I think, that another thing which we figured out is that, the entire blame goes on probably not having the right kind of institutes here who are teaching the game design properly. So game design is an area where India lacks big time. We don't have a right kind of game designer, and that's one of the reason our game designers are in France and US. We're still struggling with trying to understand from people what is the, and of course some of the guys nailed it, like Play Simple. They did some decent jobs. Simple Studio, they did this SpongeBob game recently, which is a cooking game. Their earlier title was also super successful. So but they paid attention to details. They spent a lot of time on those games. And of course, forget about the console kind of games. There are some guys who did amazing job. There are guys like who did Asura. Then there is a game which is being done called Raji, which is done in Unreal and all. So, but again, they don't get support from India, from the VC community again. So that's the problem number 3. If somebody who's trying to make amazing experiences and stuff, because recently I just talked to someone that games are expressions. It's basically your extension of the expressions. It can't be something which is shallow, because you don't make game feature complete. You make game as an experience. And I keep saying this thing also, that whenever your features are complete of whatever you put in the plan, all those features are done. That means your game is 50% done. After that 50% journey is all about the experience, and that's where, the things are missing because of the lack of designers and the lack of enough VC funding for all sort of games. Only some type of games get funded, which is fine. I don't have any complaint because we got Teen Patti market also, and we got all sort of things also. But yeah, so that's there. But the number one problem remains even now is the mindset. Even after seeing the success of PUBG and all that. So
yeah. So so as you said, you're taking this kind of, you're trying to solve this problem to try to change the mindset and taking this to people. So are there any specific communities where just people can join, and if some kid is actually interested to develop games? Because what I see is, okay, we play. I love PUBG a lot. Let's say someone says, I love PUBG a lot, I want to build something like this. So are there any platforms in our reach? I'm talking about like the local platforms where I can just join this community, take help from these people, and okay, I can at least do some POC or something. So that would be helpful for,
Absolutely. Just jump on Discord. Tons of communities now on Discord, and Discord was actually, started as the game chat system kind of thing. People have literally created multiple communities. There's indie game developers forum on Facebook. It's a group which is around 180,000 people kind of number over there. From and India also has the India Gaming Forum, which is initially NASCOM ran it, and then now IGDC. This is running it, India Joy, I think, which happens in Hyderabad, fortunately. So these are there. Other than that, there is something called GDC Vault, and you can go to GDC Vault and scavenge all the previous talks and stuff and other things. Whatever happened in GDC. So you'll see a lot of the amount of learning you get from the post-mortem of the game. No book can teach you that. You literally need to go back and see how PUBG was done, how they actually managed the networking, how they managed all the bullet systems and stuff like that, and these kind of talks happen in GDC, which is Game Developer Conference. I've been going there for the last 20 years, but not everybody is, fortunate. So they have access to these kind of things. So I would suggest, and in fact, if you go on Facebook, there are like, hundreds of groups like these. But not another thing. At the same time, if you are using Unity or Unreal Engine or something like that, then they also have their own dedicated forums within their own websites. And those are super active. There's hardly, you'll post something and will not get any response for. And so I would say go on YouTube, try and learn. And I believe in how to books more than teach me everything. So if I'm getting into I'm hitting the roadblock or something, I just go how to solve this. So my approach is how to after that. So I go and I find on those forums and stuff, and I post. In fact, indie game developer Facebook page is super active, not just for helping you out, but at the same time, even if when you're working on something basic and you're looking for feedback from people, you will get very, very high quality feedback from people. Nobody is going to troll you, right? Over there, that what shit you have posted, kind of thing. So people will come, give some positive and negative and all those kind of things, try and improve your stuff. Even if you have like multiple choices, like should I do this or should I do that? This is my icon looks like, and people can actually come and give all those kind of feedback, and they're like pretty open communities. So I'm a big fan. I'm a bigger fan of Discord, because Discord is actually that's where currently most of the indie studios are there. They keep talking, randomly. You just go and say, hey, hi, how things, things are great. How's lockdown treating it? Great. Did you get any idea about lockdown game? And people will start jumping in the conversation. It's like you're sitting in La Makan kind of place, which is completely art driven kind of place, kind of where the similar kind of mindset people come in and join, and then just you never know, you'll make friends for life. So
Right,
yeah.
Right. So we have a question from one of our participant. So I think this is from Mr. Ayush Bajpai.
Okay.
So he says, I'm in a unique position and I recently founded a game development studio.
Awesome.
And I have zero technical knowledge though. So I hire people. I ask them to build my game and then release them on the stores. Would really appreciate some advice to me as an entrepreneur. Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
Okay. So yeah. So congratulations, Ayush, for starting your journey. Number one advice: hang in there. It's not gonna be easy. So, but that's what That's how the world differentiates entrepreneurs from the people, because we know that we keep it regardless. And game studio, awesome. Congratulations again for that. So the thing is that number one thing, your first game not necessarily is going to be the best game you'll ever make. Don't shy away from showcasing your game to people, even at the early stage. I hate the word stealth mode. Whoever comes to me and says that stealth mode, I said fuck off. Because it just doesn't make any sense. Because the thing is that more you talk, nobody is going to steal your idea. Trust me. Even if they do, that means they had better capabilities and stuff and all those things, and you are already questioning yourself. So the thing is that present your idea. Talk to people, take a lot of feedback from people. And be very, very vocal about why you took certain decisions and stuff like that. People will definitely try to pull you down. Then people will be, in several places I know, which happens a lot, when where mediocrity is celebrated. Don't get bogged down by that. Focus on design. Don't a lot of people think that I have an idea and I think I can build around it, or I can clone something. That's not going to last. That's not the business model. That's survival, and survival is not business. Business means growth, right? And you need to grow each day better than yesterday. That's how you should live. So my point is very simple, that have a good designer or have design capabilities within the organization, have a long-term goal. Like I was talking about Simple Game, right? So they made a cooking game which became pretty big success and all those things. And that's one of the reasons they got SpongeBob, right? Similarly, we also got, Paddle Pop and all these big IPs and stuff. So, and that actually helps, and if you are doing mobile games and stuff, trust me, don't underestimate the power of marketing. In the console game, it's like if you're spending 19 on making the game, you need 1 to market the game. In mobile, it's other way around. You spend 1 on making the game and you spend 19 on marketing that. So discoverability is a big issue on that. So I don't know what kind of game you're gonna make, but the thing is that so hang in there, have focus on design. Don't try to clone anything or download from Unity Store or something and just make it, because it's not gonna last long. And try and build and spend a lot of time. Like games like Oblivion, they spent 3 years in designing the game and 3 years, 6 years in designing the game and 3 years in making the game. Right, so that's how some of the greatest games are created. Even on mobile, the same thing happens. People spend a lot of time, and don't be ashamed of showcasing. People keep saying that release the game which you are embarrassed about. So don't because first time you're not gonna be, but the games as services. Because now pretty much all the mobile games are like services. You need to keep updating. You need to keep coming up with a lot of patches, updates, campaigns, tournaments, and stuff, and all those things. So you just need to continue to update the game. In fact, it happened in the console also. If you are aware of No Man's Sky, which was very, very highly ambitious game. People were literally waiting for that game. When the game came out, it was absolute shit, right? But the thing is that people actually trolled them so much, pulled them down so much that they had all the reason to close down the studio. The studio is called Hello Games, which is in UK. The thing is the perseverance, persistence, and everything. They kept on going on, and today that's one of the most fantastic game, and it actually won the award for the game which changed everything, from what it was and what it is today. So again, don't and don't go stealth mode. Showcase your game on every platform possible, right? We have India Joy again. Fortunately that happens in Hyderabad. If you're not in Hyderabad, then find out a way to come and meet and hang out with people. If that happens this year again, because I don't know what COVID situation will be in October, November time and stuff. So yeah, and yeah, it's a long journey. So treat it long, don't treat it short. So, yeah.
Yeah. So as the point of Hyderabad came into picture, so what made you come to Hyderabad? And also
I love it.
the kind of landscape, the gaming landscape that we got here. Can you
Yeah.
just talk more about it? Yeah, the opportunities
Oh,
and all.
so yeah, so Hyderabad is the most livable big city in India for sure. That's the very, very, clear statement. And the reason why I made it my home is that because I was away from the India scheme of thing, and I was not like this thing, what was happening here and stuff. But when I've figured out that this is a place where there are like highly high quality technical colleges, and in fact there are so many and it's in fashion, right? People everybody is B Tech here, right? Everybody pretty much. So that's a big thing, right? The only thing I needed to do, which I thought was super simple but didn't turn out to be, was to convince them to be part of the game industry. And the second thing what I figured out, that there were like already action in the art space, because DQ was here, right? So DQ is like a behemoth, right? Around 5,000 people back then. I don't know how many they have. Tapash Chakravarti, Tapash was running this company. So in fact, a lot of action was already here in the city. So we had art, we had technical colleges and all those things. So I think that's one of the reason why Hyderabad became an obvious choice. I accidentally happened in Hyderabad, but I kind of fell in love with that, because I was in a Belgian company and that had an office here. I came to Hyderabad. I loved everything about it, and I figured out that everything is very accessible here. It's not like I don't want to bitch about certain other cities in India, but yeah, people are very, very, you can approach anyone here. And now, because and at this moment, though, with some other level, because KTR Garu and KCR Garu, they are so much approachable to entrepreneurs and all those, Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, always available kind of guy. So that's what happened back then, that I thought like this city has everything, in terms of, and now if you see that time, Jamdat was about to be, or probably got acquired by EA. So Jamdat was a company which was doing mobile games and stuff, and something like in mobile space, but early Nokia kind of thing. And EA came and acquired them, right? So that was a big news, everywhere. So that again put Hyderabad on the global map, and not just in the India map, because EA being EA, right, one of the biggest company, right? They decided to set up the office in Hyderabad. Then Gameloft happened, but then Gameloft shit also happened, and they left. But the thing is that for a long time they were here in Hyderabad. Today, if you see, there are a lot of high quality studios in Hyderabad, and and Hyderabad is probably now, because the same guy opened colleges and institute at other places, but Hyderabad is the only place where you have dedicated game development institute, which is the Backstage Pass, right? So And nowhere else in India. India had DSK Supinfocom, but they were teaching design and other things also. Then there are other lot of other institutes, right now in Hyderabad, but they teach other courses also. But game specific, even now, if you see this backstage is there. The now backstage opened in Bangalore and Pune, I guess. So they also have leverage. But for some time, the action was taken away from Hyderabad, largely because Pune happened and DSK Supinfocom started churning out great resources. And because they had French faculty, access to the French, this thing, because Supinfocom is a French, entity. And DSK brought them to India, but then DSK thing happened, and then everything went southwards from there. But the thing is that a lot of people opened offices in Pune. After that, a lot of studios started happening, like Reliance happened in Pune. Then even Yuzu is there now. Sumo Digital is in Pune. So yeah, so for some time it was taken, and people who studied in the DSK, they actually made Hyderabad as their, Pune is their home. But I think, Hyderabad is back. And the biggest thing about Hyderabad is that we have this India Joy, which happens. So one of a kind event, which is, in lines with China Joy, where all the entertainment related industries, they come for like 7 or 9 days kind of event. And game development, this thing is one of them, which also moved to Pune for a few years, but now we got it back to Hyderabad. So thanks to Sridhar and other guys who were part of this whole thing of bringing it back to Hyderabad. So it's in a way, it's amazing to see that Hyderabad is the host of the of India's biggest, game, event, where people come and learn, and it's pretty much, Indian counterpart of GDC, which is basically the Mecca for anybody who wants to learn anything about games. So I think we are at the right place. Our government. Oh, and I forgot to say this. So we have Center of Excellence for Gaming, which is STPI thing, which is again one of a kind, nowhere else. So what else are you looking for? You have COE here, Image, which is the, what was that, incubation for multimedia, animation, game, and entertainment, this thing, incubation center. Nowhere else you'll get that. There is big, huge image building coming up. There are high quality studios in Hyderabad. We have Chemitronics, we have EA, we have Purple Talk, and then there are we have this Ogrehead, who are doing amazing stuff with with PC gaming and stuff. And we have amazing institutes teaching, and and there are a lot of workshops and other things which happen, and action is buzzing. We have IGDA chapter in Hyderabad, which is world's largest NGO. It's the International Game Developer Association. And I started this in Hyderabad. And earlier we were meeting every month, but I'm a frequent traveler. So I passed on the responsibilities, but yeah, so I will bring the mojo back. So yeah, it's an action place for games overall.
So, how long do you think it would take Hyderabad to become the gaming hub of India? And
We are
currently,
already
which city
pretty much.
we're already? Do you think? All
Pretty
right.
much there. When
Mm-hmm.
see, I see. If I have to absolutely compare with just the number of studio or the quality of studio, then of course Pune will win. But if you talk about every possible thing, right from the governance, right from the initiatives, right from the regular meetups, the quality of institutes and colleges and all those things. If you talk about the entire ecosystem, I think Hyderabad is already the place. And if even in the studio and other thing, I'm pretty sure we'll like just like couple of years, and we'll reach that mark where we were before. Actually, like 4, 5, 6 years back, Hyderabad was absolutely the capital for the studios also. But I don't think that studios is the only reason you should actually consider. You should talk about the entire ecosystem, what any city offers, and I think Hyderabad is definitely the king there.
So we have one question from Mr. KP Reddy. So he
Okay.
says he's a teenager, really mad about games, and after his intermediate +2,
Mhm.
what are the options he has in his career to enter into the gaming industry, and
Mhm.
where can he follow his passion, earn some
Mhm.
money to convince his parents?
Yeah, forget about the money part. I can answer all the other things, you know. Well, I'll come to money because, in fact, yesterday itself, one of the thing which I wrote was trending that, you know, you can't just think about passion. You have to think about money also. And I'll probably touch upon that. But coming back to the first point, you need to decide what you want to do in game. Now people are well informed. What are the different options, you know? Gaming is an ocean. It offers 204 different, you know, sub verticals within gaming itself. You can be texture artist, you can be modder, you can be a game programmer. Even in game programmer, you can be physics programmer, AI programmer, network programmer, sound programmer, and the list goes on. 204 different, you know, roles within the game industry. So now, even like, let's forget about this 204. Break it down to four, right? You have engineering, you have art, you have game design, and you have testing, which is the quality assurance part of it. Let me just quickly touch upon, you know, if you are amazingly analytical and you think that physics and maths are your baby, then focus on the development side. You know, you will rock. If you just love maths, and if you don't like maths and physics, then probably you should shy away from the development part, you know, because these are heavily driven by physics and AI. Even when we are using AI and other things, you know, that a lot of technology interconnection is there. The second thing is, if you are an artist, even if you are the pencil artist, you know, forget about the Photoshop or Max Maya 3D thing. You have a career option called concept artist in the game industry, where your job is to literally sketch everything, right? And if you think that you also understand a little mathematical side of art, then you can become the modeler, or you know, somebody. And if you have great color sense, texture, so you can become artist if you have neck for art, right? Programmers also need to be a little artistic, because there is lot of artistry goes in the programming side, but an artist need to understand a little bit of maths, but very little bit of maths. Now comes the game design. If you are an idea guy, you know, you are this is just the first step to be the game designer. Don't think that, you know, if I have an idea I can be the game designer, because ideas pretty much like, you know, everybody has one. You know, there is nothing great about having just the idea. Can you take that idea and see the entire game within that idea, like how the player will play, how the enemies will come, how the other people will join in, what are the plus point, what are the minus point, how am I creating characters? If you can see every picture of that bit by bit, every block of the, you know, when you play the game, and that's why I keep saying doing the postmortem of the game is the first, you know, is the biggest thing in the game industry if you want to be a game designer. So if you have neck for seeing and writing big huge document, if you have great observation skill, like you go around, you know, you see a car, you know, it fascinates you, you figure out how probably, you know, this car is, even though it is a Ferrari, why it is driving behind an ambassador, right? And try and understand what is you know, probably going on in the head, why the power cables or other things and the electricity wires are low. You need to have interest in politics, you need to have interest in demography, you need to have interest. If you have that observation capabilities and curiosity and a neck for writing documents and stuff, then game design is the career choice you have. And if you think that you can play the same game over and over again for probably 400,000 times, then quality assurance is the, you know, career option for you. It might sound a little daunting, but the thing is that if you have attention to details, and you love playing game and you don't mind playing it over and over again, and you think that you are very good at communication and convincing skills, because that's what you have to do. Otherwise, if you go to programmer, he'll say it's not a bug, it's a feature, right? So, and that's a very usual programmer term, that it's a feature. So you need to go and convince those people that no, this is a bug and that's how I see it. And you understand the difference between just the bugs and the experiential bugs. You know, basically, I think when I'm shooting, the gun is firing, the guy is getting killed, that's fine. But is it fun? No, it's not fun. Why is it not fun? Because the guy is at 1 kilometer distance and still my AK-47 is, you know, literally going there and killing that guy, or my shotgun is doing that. It's not going to happen. So the thing is that, you know, you need to make it fun. How you make it fast paced, how you actually play with the mindset of the people and stuff. So if you actually have a neck for understanding the experience side, then that is there. So most of the quality assurance people eventually become the producer, which is another role which I didn't touch upon because that's a career which choice. You eventually become producer if you think that you want to be producer. You can't start as a producer. It becomes very difficult. Some people do, but you need to understand the entire pipeline of game making and stuff. So I don't know where do you fit. If you can speak, probably we can speak later. Otherwise, you figure out your own zone where you stand, and choose and focus in that direction. And we always welcome kids. Last year, around 12 kids actually interned in our company, and those were like for 7th, 8th standard and 10th standard kids actually. So there are a lot of studios which encourage even young ones, because that's again, convincing act. You need to. So, and why, how you can actually convince your parents. The game developers have Ferraris. Game developers have, all the Beamers and other things. Game developers travel across the world to observe the planet. Even if you are making a game like God of War, you can actually go to Norway and see and understand and take pictures and stuff. It's a very happy life, and at the same time you earn money. And coming back to the same thing, passion and money. If you have passion and no money, your passion will eventually die because you need to support it. And if you just have money, then passion and no passion, then it's very superficial, and you might not be able to put your heart into where your money is going. So you need to balance it out, and there is enough money. And when I told you how big GTA and all these games are, you never know, you might be making the next GTA, right? And if there is mortality, there is mortality in every industry. Oyo fired people, Swiggy fired people, even like bigger like companies, they fired people. So the tons of lives are going. So every industry has mortalities. So don't worry about it, and don't get caught up with that.
I think this calls us, as you mentioned, the kind of life a gamer can have. We actually grabbed the images, the kind of cool images that you already got.
Okay.
So Yashwant will be playing that soon. Just so
okay. I'll keep my eyes closed.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So here we are. So
yeah, this is my best moment of my life actually.
can you just talk about this a little? How is
Yeah,
it experience?
I did skydiving. So I'll tell
कॉल
you.
से निकलूं
If
क्या?
you see,
आवाज जोर से नहीं आ रही.
if you see the
Hello.
if you see the video,
Mhm.
I have always been acrophobic, and I at one point of time I did not take a house because it was on the 3rd floor, because I could not look down. I had that
Mhm.
kind of fear, and I wanted to be. I understood one thing, just again being a gamer. I figured out that is not my actual this thing, fear. It's something which has been instilled in me by my parents. Rajat, don't go there, you'll fall down. Rajat, don't do this, you'll fall down. And all those kind of things, which,
Mhm.
certainly got into my head, and I wanted to beat that fear. And on my Father's Day, I wanted to give a very, fearless, father to my kid. And this happened in Vegas.
Mhm.
And my statement was that, that in Vegas, people actually gamble with money. I gambled with my life. And I had beaten my biggest fear of my life. And I jumped, and after that I did bungee jumping in Hong Kong at Macau Tower, which was
Mhm.
just to recheck whether I actually killed it or not. But I actually killed it. So I did that. I did some ropeway and other things, open ropeway and all those kind of things, because that was the only fear I had. I had no other fear in my life, right? So, and I wanted to kill that. So I'm pretty much a fearless there now, and fear of failure was never there. That's why we are entrepreneurs. So yeah.
Yes.
So
So yeah,
pretty
we
cool.
have a lot of other pictures coming in, so we'll be talking that in the middle. So
Sure.
let me take one other
Just keep
question
on.
from. Yes, yes.
Yeah, sure, please. Yeah,
This
easy.
will go on in the background, so
Yeah,
you can
just keep
just try
on
to.
moving them. I can't
Yeah.
answer one, many things. If it is
Yes, yes.
inspirational, I can talk about. If it is bragging, I
Definitely,
will not do.
definitely. So we have another question from Mr. Shivaramakrishnan Arunachalam.
Mhm.
So what he says is, gaming in India was seen as an addiction for kids, and thus parents would try to keep it away from the children. So
Mm.
do you see that mindset is still holding back? I think this is
Yeah.
the opening statement for us. And also, would you consider these are old and don't exist anymore, or are they still persisting?
So there is a saying, in Sanskrit. I don't know how many of you understand. Ati sarvatra varjite. You know, uh, So ati sarvatra varjite means everything in excess is bad, right? Including
Right.
gaming, and
Right. Right.
and I don't think that gaming is can be an addiction eventually, but I don't think it's a bad addiction to have. There are so many plus points of playing games, and I keep talking about in all my convincing awareness campaigns and stuff. That
Mm-hmm.
decision making, your motor skills, your even the visualization of problems and stuff. All those things become amazing with that. But I would suggest that. If you are a pilot and you keep flying everywhere, it doesn't make any sense. So you need to chill. You need to take a very, very logical steps towards anything you do in your life. So, but I think yes, the mindset is not just Indian, or mindset is not just thing. Even WHO mentioned this thing last year. That it's
Right.
as bad as cocaine or anything. But this year they completely changed their statement, saying gaming is probably the best thing you can do to escape
Mm-hmm.
from all the bad information about COVID and stuff like that. So they
Right.
completely flipped their statement, and that's true, right? So how can absolutely something which you're like let's say we had been playing chess forever. Why? How
Right.
did somebody mention that playing chess is bad? No, it's not. But if chess becomes the only thing you do, and cull out your responsibilities in life and other things, then definitely it's a problem. With game, another thing comes into mind, that violence and at the same time screen time, right? Now, the same kid actually spent the same kind of screen time probably doing the Byju's thing, right? So I think that's completely debunked. When you are, it's good for studies. I think playing game will not harm much, but violence again. I have a lot of videos and a lot of things which I generally show that games don't need to be violent, right? And even if you play games in violence, and a lot of people actually blame games whenever violence happens in America. But the thing is that when Mahabharata and Ramayana happened, that time there was no video game, but violence was still around, right? So the thing is that violence is basic instinct. That the whole thing is like action and stuff is the basic instinct of people. I don't think that it is a bad addiction, and at the same time, if you limit your hours, like I'm a guy who probably has every possible game console and every possible game in my house, but my kid is not allowed to play all days when the schools are there. He is allowed to play only on Saturday and Sunday, that too for 2 hours every day, right? And when the vacations and the holidays are there, he can pretty much play every day, but again 2 hours. So it's our responsibility to limit and control all those things. You can't just blame kids on doing all those kind of things. Once you give all iPads and other things to probably do your stuff, because parents are busy, and then eventually when it becomes a habit, that kid is always picking up and doing that, and then you go back and blame the kid, right? You are the first one who actually gave the cocaine to the kid, right? So or probably anything, even like sugar, right? You if you actually have moderation from the starting of the time, probably you'll, like, if you are a Jodhpuri guy, from somebody from Jodhpur, you'll be more like a salty snacky guy more than a sweet tooth guy kind of guy. So because that's what we had access to, and that's what we had been trained to do. So the thing is that that's pretty much the case with the game also. You gave the thing, now you're saying that it became an addiction because there is entertainment factor there. Now Netflix, people are binge watching Netflix. Nobody is saying that Netflix is bad, or probably someday they'll start saying Netflix is bad. But that you started that. So the thing is that parents should control. I give another lecture on the parental control on the things also. Like people keep saying that my every single conference about kids, you won't believe. I ask one question: how many of you play GTA 5? And 80 to 90% kids say that they do, which is an absolute disrespect of the parental control of the game. Parents, when they buy a game, they should see the age rating and everything. And I think games are the only medium where every damn thing is written on the box, or when you are downloading the game itself. And if you see GTA 5, this cover, it says mature 18 plus, right? It has sex in it, it has nudity, it has drugs, it has every wrong thing, even slavery, right? And it's written on the box itself. Don't give it out to kids. Stay away, read about it, get informed first, and then only pass it on to people. So I don't think I don't think that it's happening. But yes, mindset is there, and I hope everybody understands that it's not coming from the kid, it's coming from the parenting.
So we have one other question from. I'll take two questions at a single stage.
Sure.
We have one from Mr. Avinash Pandey. So what he says is, what is the advice that you can give to aspiring game animators?
Mm-hmm.
So that is one, and we have one other question from Suraj Chawla. So
Okay.
what he's asking is that nowadays the kind of generation that we are headed towards is heavier byte per game per second, and also we are getting these realistic games like in AR and VR. So how do the game developers find a bypass to cut down the cost for the game development, as in a normal AAA game costs nowadays? And second is, how do these heavy games run on low GPU phones having
Right.
the low end processors? Yeah.
Right. That's a very, very technical question. I'll come to that. But I might not be able to explain, but you can directly connect to me, on Rajat Ojha pretty much. But I'll answer briefly. But first, going back to the animation side, animation is all about understanding the look, motion, and the timing, right? And if you nail those two things, I think you can be a great animator. Some of the, like, if you're making character animation kind of thing, again, in animation, again, as I was saying, that there are too many verticals and possibilities, right? So there are character animators who are actually animating the characters and all. People, what they do in our office, another thing, we actually we put a big huge mirror and we imitate a lot of things in front of the camera or in front of the mirror, and try to understand what all body parts are moving. Of course, focusing a lot on the ragdoll, the physical ragdoll, and trying to see different joints and bones and stuff, which will definitely help. Understanding and watching, we call it ripomatic. So if you are making a car game, you're making an character-based game, you're making fantasy game, refer to many things, see it in slow motion, see it in various ways, keep on observing, keep on understanding everything, and do watch Totoro, one of the best thing happened to the mankind, and understand. And the another thing which is very crucial is the timing, because let's say you have a gun in your hand and you have to actually put magazine, right? If you take 5 seconds or 7 seconds to put the magazine, so if the animation is like you took this and then you're doing this, by then you'll be shot dead already, right? So what is that perfect timing that you actually put the magazine, right? So 1 second. So the timing is the key which you need to do, and especially in games, and understanding the loop, which is not in the movie industry. So movie industry animation, if a character is going from here, it keeps on going and camera is following because director has decided that you start from here and go there, kind of thing. Whereas in games there are loops. You have only this is your entire walk cycle at one place. Just this. You've done this. This means you're done. Rest of the things, when it goes in the game engine, we actually say, okay, you go straight. That means you keep on going straight. As long as you're pressing the key, WASD or your controller or whatever, this animation will continue to happen in that particular direction. If I say, okay, turn, then this turn animation blend will happen and will go. So understanding these loop, understanding these timing, and understanding the motion is the most important thing. Do a lot of ripomatic, do refer to all the possible things regarding the same kind of thing. It has been done. If it has not been done, the guy who's designed the character, or designed the environment or whatever it is, that guy can actually tell you how he's charging, because that's the reason why we have concept artists, concept in mind, and they try to actually figure out every possible thing in that. So that's the answer number one. If let me know if you got your answer or not. If not, then we'll touch base again. The second question was super lengthy question, but the thing is that GPUs are pretty powerful these days. So and we recently got ray tracing, real-time ray tracing. If you know what ray tracing is, that it has a object in light, reflects back, it looks pretty shiny and very realistic and all that kind of thing. If you've seen the recent Unreal 5 game engine demo, you'll appreciate the kind of polygons they are rendering in the world, and that too on PS5, which is again not like super duper kind of thing, because there are a lot of rendering things which are underneath. That's one of the reason we keep saying that So one thing which happened recently, and I would like to take this form as the my medium to reach out to all the teenagers or who are interested in making career in game. Don't just go by what Unity or Unreal are offering. They are just the game engine. That means they are just the layer on top. Underneath that layer, there is power, right? Of the how the entire hardware is working. Understand that when you make a 3D ball, when you see it on a 2D screen, which is your monitor, it's a 2D screen, right? But you know that the object is 3D. How it is rendered, try and understand that part. You will actually get tons of answers there. Lately, the biggest problem what we had, our hiring is 700 is to 1. When we 700 people, we get one qualified guy to hire. And that happens because a lot of people claim that they know because they have done certain things in some of the game engine, but they fail to understand the logic behind that. Because today or tomorrow these game engines will change, or probably some of new game engine will come. So your foundation should be super strong to understand how the rendering works. The entire change which is happening in the realistic graphics and all those things are not happening at the Unreal end or probably Unity end. What is happening underneath? The power of the processor, power of other things and stuff coming together, and the way DirectX, OpenGL, and all these things are evolving underneath because that's the engine, actual engine. Your Unreal Engine, I would say, is a car, but your AMP series is literally sitting in the this thing. So that's thing, and if you see some of the game like Call of Duty, they are not poly heavy games. If you understand poly count, the triangles and stuff, it's not that heavy. But they have amazing texturing techniques, and they have multi-level level of textures on them. And textures are generally not so heavy on the processing side. They take time to load, and that's one of the reason why PS5 and new Xbox are focusing more on loading time. Nobody is saying that how great our games will be. Games are fine, but both of them are focusing on how quickly your game will load. Because even if so, what they are trying to say, even with the lower poly, but having the right kind of texturing techniques and stuff, and tons of you have Pixel. I don't know whether you know about Pixel or not, which is Megascan, absolutely photorealistic stuff and all that. Put those kind of things in, those are basically just the texture. They take time in loading, but once loaded, absolutely no weight on the processor. So, and that's what they are culling out with the new SSDs coming up, where the loading time is completely optimized. And that's how all these ultra realistic games are done. They are coming up with a lot of other techniques, a lot of other, and what is changing is the rendering systems, underneath, and if you want to understand how this whole thing works, I would recommend you to read a book by Michael Abrash, who wrote the first 3D game engine, which was used in the Wolfenstein and all those kind of things they made during the IT time and stuff. John Romero and John Carmack and Michael Abrash and Tim Sweeney, and I know Tim Sweeney was not the part of it. Tim Sweeney is Unreal, but yeah.
My question is actually, why game developers choose consoles over PC first?
Oh, why? Okay, very simple. First. I can answer this question very simply. Consoles are very clear platform. It's not going to change for 7 to 10 years. And I've been to a studio which makes one of the biggest game. And I don't want to name them because it's live. But their PC team is sitting in 1/100th of the block. Rest of the team is completely console, because console is, and another thing, like everybody who buys PC are not necessarily using for game, and there are so many different configurations and stuff that you continue to deal with the support system. Nowadays things are changing. I'll come to that with if you see the recent trend which happened in the games, but if I make Fortnite or PUBG, it's super easy for me to actually make it on PlayStation, because I know what is the hardware and what's the hardware in 2020 and what the hardware will be in 2025 and 26. I have an absolute clarity on that. Whereas in PC, the hardware in 2020 is going to be totally different from 2021, in 2022, 23. You will see at least 3 or 4 generation of, completely different thing. That's the biggest challenge what people face. And at the same time, console, the reason why we call it console because it's a unified system doing one thing only. The entire focus, entire processing power, entire is RAM and other things are given to that particular part that is gaming only. Whereas in PC, you have tons of auto run files which just keep. There are tons of services which are going on. Probably you don't need because. And yesterday I was playing something. It asked for Node.js, right? Why do I have to have Node.js in my machine, right, to run something? But the thing is that all these kind of things and the installation process and all those things are absolute pain in the neck. And these are some of the reasons why PC games were not preferred for long. But in the recent times, with the huge surge of with Epic Games, GOGs, and Steam, and the tons of the discount level, if you see on these games versus this thing, and at the same time, if you talk to anybody who played on PC versus this thing, suddenly you'll see, and especially these days, again, the first-person shooters and the shooters in general are becoming popular. You'll understand the precision is still there in PCs, especially. And that's why you'll see that the Fortnite users, largely coming from the PC side. All the esports events largely are conducted on PCs, So PC is coming back in a big way. I don't have the number, but I'm pretty sure it's actually rocking. It's not going to be as big as console because consoles are like, you have it, you're good for at least 5 to 7 years. And that's the promise they come with. That it's not going to go out for 5 to 7 years. It makes my development cycle easy. It makes my all the projections and predictions very easy. If I make game now, I know my game shelf is like at least 5 to 7 years. I can keep updating, knowing how the hardware is going to be and what the hardware is like. So I don't miss. We released games on PS3. We are releasing a game on PS4. I know it's super simple for us to actually target one platform more than targeting on multiple devices check. It's like releasing on Android versus releasing on iOS. That's the kind of, even iOS now, it's like changing so much every time, but still it has some level of consistency there. Whereas Android is like, you struggle a lot. But the thing is that the market is there, so you actually do that. But I would say that that trend is no more, but given a chance, I would still make my game first on console and then on PC. That's definitely there because of the clear predictability of that hardware.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we have one question from Mr. Scott Carroll. So with the kind of experience and hindsight that you got, knowing what you know now, and what would you have done company?
You completely broke. What would you have done? What did you say after that?
Yeah. So what would you have done differently as you built your company?
Oh, okay. So many things. So these are like tons of accidents. When I started, I just wanted to be a product company. I didn't want to do services at all. I had to do services because I had to pay bills. I never enjoyed it. It created a lot of frustration. Probably I should have gone for one simple idea instead of going for big idea and spending 2.5 years in making that big idea. Eventually happened, and all those things were great successes and stuff like that. But the when I was starting, and again, I did the same mistake of keeping it under the wrap for a long time, but that thing I changed very quickly, and I probably went on every single platform to showcase and collect the feedback and stuff like that. So keeping it kind of stealth, and that actually changed a lot of things in me personally. Going with big idea without having the right kind of funding budget, and all those things, and getting into services and screwing my time, happiness, and everything, was definitely a bad idea. And I don't say that services are bad or anything, but I think services are pretty much 1:1 business. You get bigger project, you need generally bigger team and bigger, structures and all those things. And you're making, again, you're fulfilling somebody else's dream, not your own dream, right? So that frustration was pretty big in me, during that time, which was daunting, and sleepless nights and stuff. And one thing which might, you already know that I was in 10th in 1989, so I'm old. and I have white beard finally. So yes, I'm old. But the thing is that one thing which is like the work-life balance was not there at all. Now I got it. I think I could have done with that similar work-life balance back then also. But I thought that's not the way I should live. I was like absolutely just work and nothing else kind of thing, and plugged with work for hire kind of business, outsourcing kind of business was a big cancer in my body system. So I probably could have gotten rid of that back then itself, and probably aim for something small, release, see the success, build on top of that, rather than other way around. So yeah, that's one thing I would definitely want to change, which is
Yeah.
yeah.
So we have a lot of questions coming in. So I'll take it real quick. And yeah, there is one follow-up question from Mr. Ayush. As he said previously, he was bootstrapping with his team of developers, though
Mhm.
he's not a technical guy having a technical background. So he says he's pouring his own money, and as we know that the marketing and the hiring are good resources, and they are really costly.
Yeah.
Where he can look for funding or any monetary help, like in terms of gaming. So yeah.
Mm. Yeah, monetary help is available online, so you just need to look for people who understand this thing. Don't take money from real estate people, please. If any real estate guys, you know, uh, just excuse me. But the thing is that people should understand this industry big time. Because no, I'll just give my logic. It's not that kind of a business which is absolutely, it's a hit driven business. And it's not like what will make Bahubali, or even if it is not Bahubali, people still not know Gangs of Wasseypur, even if it is like just 1/10 of the success story and stuff. So the thing is that it's different journey, and you need people who understand this business really well. And it's a long journey also. So somebody should support you, not just so with some type of people you'll just get money, nothing else. And I don't think that should be your path. If you're starting, you should actually get people who are strategic, and strategy can come only when you've seen many moons in this industry. And at the same time, somebody, even if like invested or something like that. So that's where it is there. And then there are a lot of venture funds which are there in India now. Bloom has invested in game companies. Kalari has invested in game companies. Kalari has that K-Start thing, which has invested in game companies. Mumbai Angels has invested in game companies. So connect with me probably. So these are like 4 or 5 I can tell you, but pretty much everybody is looking at the game industry. All the organized venture fund like Helion was there. They invested. I don't know whether they're still there or not, but Decimer did game funding, and now with the success of PUBGs and the Ludos and all those, people are understanding that there is huge money, in this, industry. Lockdown has proved, that even the casual gamers, casual people can actually enjoy. That's one. The second thing is that since you are not technical, or since you're not, so you're pouring your own money and all those things, be absolutely watchful about the people you're hiring. They should be your, soul, because it's super easy, and I've seen many a times, so probably I would say every single time, that if you are the one who's putting money and you have an idea and you bought people, right? So the thing is, the entire vision needs to be shared just like what you have it in your mind, and that needs to be done in a equal. And at the same time, you need to have somebody by your side who understands this, because even the game industry has not reached that level in India yet, I would say. And especially if you're, I don't know, again, probably you can write in the chat what kind of games you're making, but hasn't reached where that one person can come and completely be self-motivated and self-learned and all those kind of things. They look up to people who are already there and who can actually dictate, who can tell them. And people want to be in that kind of environment where there can be a lot of knowledge sharing and all those kind of things, where and because growth, as I said, like growth is the only way, right? And that can happen only when you have somebody like literally having the same kind of skin in the game, who like you have, who can actually narrate your vision, who can be and even the cost factor and other thing, because it's a literally black hole, right? If you have no control over where your money is going, and especially I can tell you one example. I will not talk about the project and other thing. There was one project was being done back in 2005. It was around 125 crore project, right? And it was gaming related, not game project. And the team was being managed by somebody who was not so very well competent, but had enough money, to put in. What that guy did is that he hired some guys, and they every time he asked that guy, show me what you've done, show me what you've done. That guy said, okay, this is what you can see, character moving, this thing and all. But for everything, we need to put everything together. We need to integrate code. We need to integrate this thing, and that kept on happening till pretty much 3 days before the due date. And then the trial happened, and the trial tanked completely, like completely. Imagine 125 crore rupees project, and you have something which just does not work, because integration happened in last 3 days, because somebody just kept on saying and kept on showing things in pieces. Showing things in pieces is super easy. I show you Lego block. That does not make it Taj Mahal, right? That does not make Millennium Falcon, right? So the thing is that we need to build the entire Millennium Falcon, and that was completely missing. And that guy tried to put something together just 3 days before, and it just did not launch at all over there. It was an embarrassment of some other level, and not my company. I been part of that, and then I saw the whole thing and stuff, and corrected certain things and helped them and stuff like that. But again, they got some real good people internally, and things changed dramatically. They got the project done, they got it approved, they got money and everything. So eventually, again, persistence is another thing which we should learn, and perseverance. But the thing is that be very watchful about the people you're hiring, and they should share an absolute 1:1 version of your mind. They should not just the part of that, and you're not going to get those kind of guys easily, trust me on that. So you need to probably work a little too hard on that. Sorry to be the bad news here, but that's how it is, and but I need to be absolutely straightforward and transparent if you're asking for advice here. So that's what it is. And money is in plenty. If your idea is good, you're trying to create something, you can prove that there is market for that. You can prove, like, even if you don't get from virtual this VC funding, there are grants available these days, like Unreal Engine. Let's say you're using Unreal Engine. Unreal has its own $10 million grant which they give. In fact, Raji, which is the game being made in India, that they got grant, and this year another friend of mine, he got for his company called Reality Virtual. It's a New Zealand based company, and they got a big grant, from Unreal again. So if you are using their engine and you can showcase the power of that engine, or probably in the market where you think that it will make an impact, then you can directly approach. And there are so many, like if you are doing VR or something like that, VR fund is world's largest, entertainment fund at this moment. There's and then there are a lot of movie guys. They understand game business really well, because it's entertainment. They also understand the hit-driven business, right? So these are the guys who can actually fund and definitely, help you out with that. The only thing is that you should look for funding from people who can add value and who understand that it's a hit-driven business. You can spend $10 million and get $1 back. I released one game which had 27 downloads. So I've seen everything. So and I didn't know, how, because I came from console background, and I was trying to do a mobile thing, and I saw like, okay, the people don't even get to see you, right? Kind of thing and stuff. So you just need to probably be a proof point and stuff like that. There is enough out there.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have two little chams over here. So one is Krishna and one is Rishi. So they just want to say
Rishi,
hi to you. Yes.
Hi,
Yes.
Rishi. And where is Krishna?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hi.
Rishi.
I see Krishna Karthik here, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Krishna Karthik, yeah, you can go
Hello.
on and talk.
Hi.
Yes.
Hello,
Yes. Tell me.
Karthik. Nice to meet you.
Likewise, man.
So, so my mother, my
Who's
parents,
laughing?
my parents gave me Saturday, Sunday only half an hour to play games. So, what good games do you suggest?
What good games I suggest? Oh, well, okay. Again, it's appetite driven, man. Like, if you like puzzles, then there are amazing puzzle games. Have you played Celeste, by the way, on PC? Do you play on PC or mobile?
Actually, mobile.
Okay, on mobile. Okay.
It's
Mobile is
okay.
full of,
It's okay if
yeah,
it's
so,
PC.
okay, so have you played this game called Sky, the Children of this thing, by that game company? I'm
And
actually getting the full name of that. Yeah, Sky, the Children of the Light.
Sky
Have
the
you played
Children
that
of the
game?
Light. No.
Yeah, you should, and you must.
Okay.
It's probably it will. You will have the best quality time of your life. I don't know you. I need to probably understand you, but that is one game everybody should play, regardless.
Can you
And I'm
repeat the
saying
game's name again?
yeah, Sky, the light of the children.
Sky the
Yeah,
Light of
Sky, the sky. Sorry, Sky, the children of the light. Sorry, light of the children. Sorry, yeah. It's the children of. It's a company called That Game Company. If you just go online, the guy is Genova Chen, who owns this company, and an amazing fellow. You can actually send him an email, and he will reply to that. Trust me. He's that great. He made some of the finest game on this planet Earth, and none of his game has any violence ever. If you have heard of the game called Journey, Flow, all these games are created by that guy, Genova, and his games are like art. He made a game called Flower also, in which you are actually a petal. Imagine being a petal in the game. You talk about having guns and bullets and stuff. In this game, you're just a petal of the flower, and you move around, you float with the wind. It's meditation at some other level. And so follow that company. Please do play their stuff. That will actually give you plenty of calm. In fact, if your parents are around, do tell them that it's meditation. It's literally meditation, and it's a great institute or college for learning and understanding what games are, real games are.
Okay.
And if you
Hello.
play on PC, then play Celeste.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what?
So we
Hello.
have yes, Krishna
Hello.
Karthik. Yes, please proceed.
And
Hello.
what good gaming languages means computer language do you say suggest for making games on
Okay,
website?
C++ is the mother of all the languages.
C++.
Yeah, so I would suggest that regardless when this thing, but a lot of games today can be done with C# also, which is like Unity and other thing. They completely support C# and you can enjoy. But I would still insist spend a lot of time in C++. Your understanding of what computer is and how it works will be exponential. And I'm not a Java guy, and I would not recommend most of the game engines which were running on Java shifted back to C++ again, because Java has that virtual machine thing which is sitting in between. Any lag, any millisecond lag, gamers identify immediately and they throw it. So there is a Techland company which made some amazing zombie games, and this thing, their engine was Java based. They shifted to C++ now. Even Unreal under the hood is using C++, but then on top of that they have scripting and stuff and all that. So I insist that you learn C++ if you want to be a programmer.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much,
Hello.
Krishna Karthik. Yeah.
Hello.
Please
Can I speak?
introduce yourself. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Please introduce yourself.
I'm
Yeah.
Adarsh. I'm Adarsh Gupta from Hyderabad. Me and my partner are planning to open a gaming studio in Hyderabad.
Great. Welcome.
Where, yeah, sir. Actually, gaming studio in the sense like where we will install PCs and gaming consoles. Where people who can't, whose parents aren't allowing them to buy PCs and giving money them
Bad.
to buy PCs. we'll like open a studio where we'll install gaming consoles and all like extreme PCs,
Yeah.
very powerful PCs
Okay.
where
Awesome.
people
So,
can come
and
and play.
let me guess, you'll name it Guilt Treats.
Yeah, sir. Actually, this is my sister's account.
Okay.
Actually, I couldn't log in from my account for some
Okay.
technical issues.
She's into sugary bakery products and stuff.
Yeah, sir. She makes chocolates.
Yeah. See, I was not too. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
My
okay.
like
I'll recommend one thing to you. What was your name
yes,
again,
sir.
please? Others.
Others.
Yeah, others. So others
Yes, sir.
do one thing. There's a place called MVP in the
Yeah, I
Palladium
know,
Mall.
sir.
You know MVP, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it's a gaming cafe, right? So we
Yeah,
call
yeah.
it gaming cafe
Yeah,
more than
same
studio.
like same.
Same,
Yeah,
same
actually.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just go and just
Same
replicate
thing.
that in your area. Which area do you
Yeah.
live in?
Sir,
Which area?
sir, I live in SR Nagar,
Perfect market. You can do
Amirpet.
that. Yeah. But don't say that because your parents are not allowing we are opening this for an escape. You know, your parents will their parents will come and chase you and hunt you down. You know,
Right.
just say that, you know, because
Yeah, sir.
you know, you will have the larger collection of the game and other things you can say that because not every
Yes, sir.
game everybody buys, you know, so you will have pretty much
Yes,
all
sir.
access to all the games and stuff. Even like this Masquerade Cafe, they have put the PlayStation, this this thing, you know, they have gaming stuff and all. But MVP is definitely my favorite in the city. And they've done it
Yes, sir.
really, really well. And just replicate the model. And SR Nagar, you definitely
Yes.
have hope.
Yes.
Yeah, lot
Yes,
of
sir.
you know
Actually, I was
students and all these
I,
guys live there. Yeah, tell me.
yes, sir. So actually, I was asking for a suggestion for which area and like should I go more for consoles or more for PCs?
You have to have mix of both. Some of the games like how will
Yeah,
you play
I'll
Uncharted
go
on
with
PC?
both,
Right?
but
Yeah,
yeah, I'll go with both. But what do you
have
think
PC more.
more
Have
demand will be?
have PCs more.
Okay, sir.
Because you have access to Steam, you'll have amazing collection of games, and then
Yes, sir.
the esports thing and other things. As I told before, they'll rely largely
Yes.
on PCs. So, and PC hardwares are so damn cool looking, man. You know, if you have the
Yes,
right
sir.
kind of NZXT cabinet and that RGB RAM and other thing, it's just disco. You know, some other level
Yeah.
disco there.
So, sir, actually,
Somebody muted you. You're speaking too much or what?
Yeah, please. Yeah,
Hello?
please unmute
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah,
Please
that's-
unmute yourself and talk. Yeah.
hello.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
Am I
we
audible,
can
sir?
hear you. Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
you are. You
So
are.
actually, we are also planning to start building PCs, like custom built PCs for
Yeah.
people who want
Sure.
to get PC builds.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely
do you know
amazing.
Bitcart
Yeah, I
and,
know very
and
well. Yeah.
PC? Yeah.
Yeah.
So same concept, but like we want to like we are thinking of manufacturing this our own cabinets and small accessories from China, getting it manufactured from China.
No, not for
Our
the
own
next 5
company
years,
now.
please. Not for the next 5 years, please. Understand the business first, understand the demand, understand, people are very fixated in the game industry, especially, about
Yes,
the
sir.
hardware they're buying and stuff. Don't try to reinvent the wheel at this moment. Learn the art.
Okay, sir.
Even building the right kind of gaming PC is an art. That probably.
Okay.
I hope you see the YouTube videos and you understand. There are a lot of
Yes, sir.
dedicated videos on this thing. Especially I love Linus Tech Tip. A lot. The way they actually things and stuff and all that. So that is there. Then PC Part Picker is their website. I don't know whether you know PC Part Picker
Yes,
or not.
sir.
You know PC Part Picker,
No,
right?
sir, I'm not.
Oh, you should be, man. Come on. If you are making a game assembly line kind of thing, you should know PC Part Picker because they actually take care of all the compatibility issues and stuff like that. Because it's not
Okay.
that I put 2080 card and I put 32 GB RAM of DDR4 and something like that, and
Yeah,
it will work like a miracle. It's not going to happen at all,
Yeah,
right?
Yes, sir.
And so the thing is that what you have to do is understand the compatibility of card, the power wattage, especially the PSU, your SMPS
Yes, sir.
kind of thing. You need to understand the load
Yeah.
balancing
Yeah,
part. So I think you should know PC Part Picker, and at the same time do watch Linus Tech Tips, videos and stuff. And at the same time,
Okay.
be very, very aware of, or if you get a chance, do internship in MVP for 3 to 6 months. Spend some time with that guy. That
Okay.
guy is a badass
Yeah.
guy. I like him.
Okay.
And it doesn't hurt. You can just go and tell him that you are trying to learn his art. It doesn't hurt.
Yes,
So,
sir. Actually, I was
Yeah.
planning to open my cafe till February or something, Jan or Feb.
mhm. Jan
So
Feb 2021.
yeah, 2021.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
We have time.
Yeah.
So, but still don't manufacture the hardware components, please.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking so that like I could get cheaper cabinets with a better quality for
No, no, no,
people
no,
who
not
order
gonna
from.
happen. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
You need to
Yeah.
spend some time in the field and understand everything. So,
Okay.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you so
So
much for the question, and hope a
yeah.
lot of
Uh,
gaming studios actually come in Hyderabad as well, which will
Will
actually
happen for
make
sure.
this gaming hub. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So Rajat, I'll just quickly. I think we are already. Sorry for that.
Yeah.
We are already like we took
It's fine.
one and
I kept this
half
time
hour.
for you. That's what I told
Yes,
my
yes.
kid, that it's gonna be 1.5 hours. Yeah, he was asking me when can we play. So,
Sure, sure. Thank you so much, Rajat. Actually, there are a lot of questions. So what
okay.
I'll be doing is I just save this chat, and all the
Sure.
questions are already saved here. So I'll
Yeah.
just post this questions to your email. So whenever
Okay.
you're available, just you can respond on that, and I will share that with our community.
Absolutely.
With that, yeah, again, thank you so much, and we are already late. So thanks for joining, Rajat, and it's been an honor. I
It
should
was
say.
absolutely fun for me.
Yeah.
There's a great interaction,
Yes.
great questions, and I think Rishi is trying to say something, and I would like to listen to him very
Yes. Yes.
quickly.
Sure.
Okay.
Rishi. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Nice meeting you.
Likewise,
Like,
man.
I'm more often like an explorer in like fighting games and all action games.
Uh-huh.
So then, like, when PUBG released and Free Fire happened, then all that. So then I was like more interested in Battle Royale once I got to know that concept.
Right.
Then after that, like, I start exploring. Then after
Mm-hmm.
that, PUBG, like, it was like something happened, and then like the parents and all are not allowing that and Free Fire. So then this Call of Duty came out from
Yeah.
Tencent. So
Yeah.
then that's like been like only hope for Battle Royale now for me.
Okay.
Do you have any other suggestions for Battle Royale now?
No, I think Warzone is amazing. I love Warzone. So that's fine enough. You know, the Call of Duty Warzone we are talking about, right? So that's a pretty good game. I enjoyed that. You know, and I play Fortnite. You know, my thing is very simple. Because I'm a game developer, I play all type of games, and I can't be fixated to one type. And do play Valorant if you have not played. It's launching on 2nd June. It's not a battle royale game, but I'm pretty sure you'll like it.
Okay.
Yep. All
Yeah.
right.
Cool. Yeah.
Yes.
Hello?
Jimo, yeah. You can ask. Are you trying to ask a question? Hello.
Oh.
Yes. Yes. You can ask. Yeah. Please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. This is Jimo, from Africa, Nigeria, and thank you very much, Mr. Rajat. And
Absolutely, pleasure.
my question to you is, I'm trying to get some clarification because this is my first attendees in a conversation on gaming industry. I just want to ask this question.
Mm-hmm.
Please, what is the most cutting edge emerging tech that you work with?
What is the most important?
Yeah, what is the most cutting edge emerging tech you work with?
One word is I could not. What is the?
He's trying to say
Jimo,
what.
can you be a little louder?
Or probably you can probably type in the chat or.
I,
Yeah, Kashyap, you got it? What is it?
yeah, I got it. So
Okay, so tell me.
He's trying to ask what is the most cutting edge technology that you have worked in the gaming industry so far. Yeah.
Cutting edge. That the definition keeps on changing every single time. Actually, the recent one is the most cutting edge we actually did, which is full body tracking based game, which is like Kinect kind of game on mobile. You know, and like full body means full body, and that game will come out very soon. But I think that was a brilliant. Because getting that kind of power, from your phone and stuff is not easy because Kinect was a dedicated hardware and stuff. and a lot of AI went into that. So I think that is one game which I'm really going to be proud of. Another thing, when we did the first PlayStation 3 title, it was the biggest thing for us, largely because the way the PlayStation memory architecture was, it was really, really bad. And everybody knows, even Sony knows it. So I'm not shying away from saying this in public. It was really bad, and getting it to work to finish and reaching the top 10 chart was definitely a big deal for us. But I think the definition will change because soon you'll see humanoid, absolute human-like characters in the game, which will have the same kind of expression system. You will see in RPG games, if you play RPG games, Jimo, you're gonna see characters which actually will change their decision making based on your actions. Right now we have predefined AI, in the games. That's gonna change, and we are also working on something like that. So it's again cutting edge, but the thing is that it's basically evolution of what already exists. Instead of we are assigning few possible intelligence system to the NPCs, the non-playing characters in the game, we are allowing them to think based on how I act. So entire game experience is going to be different. So yeah, so these are some of the things, but I think more than cutting edge, I personally think the game should be experience. You can make very simple game like Celeste, and without being cutting edge, and because that game is done by one single guy, and it's getting a lot of respect. It's getting a lot of it's because I'm telling you a story, right, through my game, and that's how my mind is working, and that's what should be the focus. If you tell Genova Chen, I talked about Genova Chen, right? That game company, the same thing. His games are bare minimum game. They're very simple game, but they tell a story. They connect you, they immerse you, and that's what we we strive for, and that is something what we always hunt for. Could
Thank
answer, Jimo? Yeah.
Hello.
Okay. Thanks, man.
you. Thank
Hello.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Rajat. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
that. And I want to stop it here. I don't want to eat. We are already exceeding 35 minutes. But yeah. So guys, please drop in your questions, and also I'm sure you guys have the community access. Please post your questions. I'll get it from Rajat. Rajat again. So much, and I hope we all together contribute a lot to improve the gaming industry in Hyderabad especially.
Yep.
So thank you you all.
Absolutely pleasure.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you for everyone for the lovely session, great questions, and I
Yes.
appreciate it.
Yes.
And
I just want to ask a quick question. Actually, I'm a complete gamer guy and everything, LTT, PC, Paprika, everything. I'm just in 12th. I'm currently studying for JE. Obviously, parents won't allow for gaming at all. So I just want to go into gaming industry. I actually want to become pro gamer, but I want to go into gaming industry and I love it. But the problem is, like, I have no expectations from JE and all, and I don't know whether I'll go to good college or anything. So how do I proceed?
To be a pro gamer?
Actually, both. And pro gamer is something that you cannot decide right now.
Yeah,
So,
you cannot decide.
Pro gamer both in gaming industry, like game development or something like
Game
that.
development is simple. Follow what your parents are saying. You can do IIT and come back to the game industry. The industry will still love you. For that. If you don't have any hope, then focus on, as I told you, physics and maths a lot. And I hope you love these subjects. And if you know C++, great. Even if it is not, it's fine, because we keep saying that C++ is just like your language. You know English or you know Hindi, doesn't matter, as long as you can communicate what you're saying, right? So you can figure out whatever language. Tell me.
I just have no idea in game coding at all. My main focus is to become a pro gamer or content creator on YouTube.
Content creator also. Okay, so kind of different streams actually in content creation and the pro gaming scene. Pro gamers like Jonathan Wendell is a pro gamer, right? Ninja is a content creator in a way, right? Yeah. So because he's just playing a game Fortnite over and over again and pitching it, or all YouTube now Mixer kind of thing and stuff like that. So and then you can do that. So for that you need to be for both the things, you need to be at least at a pro level, even as a pro. So Jonathan Wendell is a great friend of mine. but just in the interest of time and everything, connect to me separately, and I'm Rajat Oja on Insta, Rajat Oja on LinkedIn and Facebook, Rajat Oja again. Just reach out to me. I'll probably connect you with both Ninja and Jonathan Wendell, and I can give you whatever advice I can. But these are very good friend of mine, and they can definitely help you out in something. Ninja is not a great friend of mine. His wife is a very good friend of mine, and we can definitely, you can explore your own passion. I know these things exist. I don't know how to become a pro gamer. I did some pro gaming, but for raising charities and stuff like that, but not for making a career in that. But I did play professionally also initially. But I think but for that you need to actually get trained intensely. You can't do JE and be pro gamer at the same time. Trust me, it's not gonna happen. You need to have amazing motor skills. You need to have great decision making, and need to play one game probably 100 times a day. You never know. That's
Actually, I don't
that's
take
and
time anymore. My parents just allow 2 hours a week and I have a very bad laptop. So
yeah,
I'm
connect
thinking
with
about,
me.
is it possible in
We
engineering?
it is possible in engineering. Yes, it is possible, but one of those things will fail. So because the amount of time where engineering will require, and at the same time the amount of time the, being the pro gamer kind of thing will require, can't match. You can't play for 10 hours and you can't study for 10 hours, and you're left with hours and you'll have fatigue, and you'll crash eventually. So the thing is that you need to take time out for anything, something. It's a career choice, boss. You can't do in a career. You need focus. You need to focus on one thing first,
Is
and
it possible?
when you nail it, then do whatever else you want to do. First get your comfort in oil, and then make geo and other thing businesses. Reach that level with your oil first. So that's what it is.
Yes, Anish, if you have any more questions, you can just I gave the Facebook handle of it,
Thanks.
of Rajat, so please do connect with him. Thank you, Rajat, and that's it. So thanks for joining, and we'll see you again. Yeah,
Sure,
thanks.
absolutely.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks,
Right.
community. Have a great night. And there are a lot of events lined up, so please check out our page. It's totally for free. Just learn from the industry, learn from entrepreneurs and people like Rajat. I'm sure you guys will get a lot of inspiration and also insights. That's a great combination. Right? Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And
Bye.
stay. And yeah, this became generic. Stay home.
Yeah.
Bye.
Stay safe. Stay home. Bye. Bye.
Yes.
Guys.
Bye.